Practical Wisdom for Modern Witches with your host, the Witch of Lupin Hollow.
Hello, modern witches. Welcome back to the Witch of Lupin Hollow YouTube channel. Today we are going to do a fun little thing. This is my very first bullet journal flip through. So I've talked before on the channel and on the blog and Instagram about my journaling practice. So journaling is a big part of my daily spiritual practice. And the way that I work with a daily journal is through what I call my Chronicle Grimoire. And we've talked about in previous videos how my Chronicle Grimoire has evolved over time. And for many years, it's been just a plain lined notebook, and I've sort of filled in my daily journaling. But that wasn't working as well as it used to for me. And so I decided to try out the bullet journal format, and I found that I really, really love it. So I've done one complete month now, just about, of bullet journaling, and this is definitely the new format that I'm going to be sticking with for my Chronicle Grimoire. So we're going to do a little flip through today of my first month of bullet journaling, which was February 2019. So this is my bullet journal. It's just a simple black bound dotted journal, very straightforward. So on the first page, I just have a Chronicle Grimoire written, and then I have a little dedication here, dedicating the grimoire to chronicling my spiritual practice, growth, and evolution. This is the beginning of my index page, which actually isn't fully filled out. I've been kind of experimenting with the traditional bullet journal index. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work for me just yet, but this is the beginning of my February path. So I didn't actually do a cover page for February. I think I probably will start doing those for future months. But I did do a calendar spread here. You can see I made a couple mistakes. They are inevitable. But for February, I did a snowdrop theme. So on some of the pages, I've drawn in little snowdrops because that is the primary flower of the Sabbat Imbolc, which happens in February. So what I've done for the calendar view is I've noted Imbolc here on February 1st. I noted the new moon, full moon, and the waxing quarter and waning quarter moons, as well as the date that the sun entered the next sign, which was Pisces. I also noted Valentine's Day as an important date. I debated whether or not to put birthdays and that sort of thing on here, but I ultimately decided not to, at least for now, mostly because this is a spiritual journal, not, a planner or date book. So it just doesn't feel appropriate to have those kinds of things in here. This is about my own spiritual journey. So then on the next page is my ritual tracker. This is something I've done in a few different formats for a long time. And this is actually probably what drew me to the bullet journal format in the first place. So I have my morning and evening rituals here. So in the morning, I like to, have a cup of tea, light some candles, various things that I've been tracking. You can see I've done pretty well with my morning ritual. My evening ritual, not as much. I often have a cup of tea. I'm okay at lighting some candles. I'm pretty good at actually putting on my moisturizer, but I've meditated only once. The card draw I usually do in the morning, so that's okay that I haven't done it as often at night. But definitely some room to improve on my evening rituals. And then I also was tracking the days that I did yoga. So in the second half of the month, I did pretty well. So the ritual tracker, I think, is a huge thing that you can do to really track how you're doing, what you're keeping up with, what's keeping your attention, and what's not, and where you have room for improvement. Okay, then we're going to get into my daily spreads here. So a little bit along the line is where I kind of figured out what I was doing. So this is the daily spread that I've pretty much decided to stick with. So I have a banner at the top with the date. I have the moon phase and moon sign. I record my dreams. I do a daily card draw, usually in the mornings. So I have a little box here to write in what the card was and then my reaction. And then I have a gratitude box, which this is something I'm doing at night to write in, you know, the things I'm grateful for. I've also done a couple of collection spreads. So this one here is a books to read page. I have several books that I've been meaning to get to, and so that's been kind of on my list to get back to reading more often. So far I haven't done it, but I'm working on it. So I have this one here. I do also do a daily card draw log. So although I also record the cards I draw each day on the page for the daily, having them all in a log like this is really helpful because I can see which decks I was using. You can see for the entire month of February, I was working with the Threads of Fate deck. And then I also note what element or suit the card was from. So that'll come up again at the end of the month. I did briefly try out this daily sleep and dream log to note like how many hours of sleep I was getting, what kinds of dreams I had. It didn't really work for me in this format, but I might try it again in a little bit of a revised way because I like the concept. It just didn't work for me in this version. Then I do also have my future log in here, which is a traditional bullet journal spread. So I have the months written out with the days and then whatever the season is of the Sabbat, and then a few different things that I want to focus on in my personal life and in my spiritual path for that month and season. So this takes up a few pages here. And then the other daily tracker that I do is a yoga tracker. So this one is just the days of the month all the way down the side. And then I just sort of write in what it is that I did for my yoga practice that day and how long I spent on it. So these are all things that I'll review at the end of the month. I have also been doing meal planning in here, which hasn't been working that well for me, so I'm going to revise how I go about doing it. But for this month, I had, you know, kind of a weekly log of what I planned to eat for each meal, what I actually ate. I had a really hard time sticking with it, so I just need to kind of reevaluate why meal planning is important to me and how to go about it. Okay. So most of the pages look pretty much the same. I decorated some of them, a little Valentine's Day page here. Okay, so then there's this one, which this is actually an annual spread. So I'm actually probably going to start an annual bullet journal because I'm going to be working through the months pretty quickly in one journal. So I'm probably going to migrate this to a different book. But this is my charging schedule. So I always have a hard time remembering which crystals and decks I charged when, because they really should be cleansed and charged pretty frequently. So this deck, or I'm sorry, this page, it lists out all of the decks I own with some room to add. And then it lists out my crystals. There are about 10 or 12 crystals missing from this list because I own so many and they didn't fit. So I need to work on that. But so it lists out the decks and crystals. And then up at the top here, it notes the new and full moons for each month. So it notes like new moon in Aquarius on February 4th, for example. And then any items that I charged on any particular date, there's just a dot noted. So at the full moon in Virgo on February 19th, I charged my Threads of Fate deck because it's been getting a lot of use, my blue lace agate, and my chrysocolla, which are both associated with Virgo. So this one I'm really proud of, and this is something that I've been trying to find a solution for a long time. So bullet journaling seems to have offered that. Okay, so then at the very end here of the month, I'll be doing a monthly review. So this is my month in review spread. It's not filled in yet. I'll probably be doing that on the last day of the month. Which will have passed by the time this video actually airs, but at the moment it's not filled in. But I wanted to show you the format because I'm really excited to get started with it. I have a month in review banner at the top, and then I have two boxes, one for successes and one for struggles. So these are habits I had a hard time keeping up with, new goals I finally met, anything in my spiritual path or personal life that felt like a success or that I struggled with. I have a box here for decks and crystals charged. So anything that I charged at the new and full moon, which are noted in the charging schedule, will go here. I have boxes for the number of books I read and the number of minutes of yoga I practiced. I have Oracle or Tarot by the elements, so I'll be able to note how many cards I drew in my daily card draw from each element, because that can give you a really great concept of, what you need to focus on or what themes really came up during the month. Then here I have the review of my 6 pillars of my spiritual practice. This is a system that I use to create and maintain my daily spiritual practice. The 6 pillars, the general categories are mind, body, nature, divination, devotionals, and a 6th pillar of your choosing. This is the system we use in my Developing Your Daily Spiritual Practice program. My particular 6 pillars in my own practice are journaling for mind, yoga for body, the seasons for nature, working with the cards for divination, following the moon cycle for devotionals, and my 6th pillar is working with tea. So I'll do a little overview in each of these of what I did for that month, how I felt about it, etc. And then up here, I have the equinox season check-in. So in my future log that I showed you, I have kind of some notes about the different things in my spiritual and personal life that I want to focus on for that season. So this is where I'll check in on the progress with those, how I'm feeling about the things I wanted to focus on, if I haven't had time to, or what might be blocking me from doing that. So this will be a monthly review, and I'm actually pretty happy with this spread, so I think this will probably be something I'll stick with. And then, of course, again, I decorated some of the pages with the snowdrops in honor of Imbolc. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing, is each month will be themed with a different seasonal flower. So that wraps up my February bullet journal flip through. I hope that this served as some good journaling inspiration for you. Even those of us who've been journaling for a long, long time can switch up our format. Bullet journaling, I think, is a great way to track your spiritual growth and path and practice. So I hope that you will give it a shot. Don't forget to comment below with any questions you have, or I'd love to hear about how you use bullet journaling in your spiritual path and practice. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. All right, I will see you next week.